Let me get this straight. A thing that looks like a police box standing in a junkyard, it can move anywhere in time and space?
Yes.
Quite so.
But that's ridiculous.
Hey guys, so it is being reported that William Russell has passed away. It's always hard to lose actors you like, and it's always sad when we lose actors from classic Doctor Who. Not just actors, anyone from classic Doctor Who, writers, costume designers, just anyone to help make that show so amazing. It's hard to lose actors from modern Doctor Who as well, but especially someone like William Russell, who was so integral to Doctor Who, so important to Doctor Who in those early days that, you know, if those early days had not worked, we wouldn't have Doctor Who. It wouldn't have become this juggernaut of a franchise that is, you know, the longest running science fiction show in history. And he's just a huge part of that. And I always loved his portrayal as Ian so much. He is so good in that role. He is always in top form. He is always amazing in that role. The Doctor, Ian, Barbara, and Vicky are one of my favorite TARDIS teams. They're probably my second favorite TARDIS team of the 60s, just narrowly getting beat out by Troughton, Jamie, and Zoe, because I love them a lot as well. And I like Carol Ann Ford as Susan. I just never really cared for how they wrote Susan. But Ian is just always so good in those roles. And how he relates to each character, him and Barbara are so good together. How he interacts with Susan, how he interacts with Vicky, how he interacts with the Doctor. Even though they butt heads sometimes, there's obviously affection between them. And, you know, I love the fact that Williams, his fight scenes are always so good. Because the 60s fight scenes can be a little, at times, because we know they a lot of times didn't have time for reshoots. I believe Wendy Padbury very famously wanted to reshoot a fight scene from The Mind Robber. They didn't have time. She was never happy with it. But his usually look good, like in the Aztecs and the Romans. I absolutely love that sword fighting he does with that he's forced to do with that other guy in the Romans. Is really, really, really impressive. Now, as an American, I'm not overly familiar with a lot of Russell's other works outside of Doctor Who. I know he had that Sir Lancelot series he was in back in the 50s. I know he was on Coronation Street, and I believe he was even in the original Superman, but I'm not sure where, probably just a little small part. And I know he shows up in An Adventure of Space and Time briefly as well. But I know him as Ian Chesterton, and I love him in that role, though. I like Ian. He's kind of the, I mean, you could argue he's kind of the main first male lead, really, I guess. With the Doctor being the more older Obi-Wan Kenobi almost type, with a much more irascible temper. Whereas Ian was more kind of the leading man, does the fighting and all of that, the hero type. And is definitely one of the many reasons why the show has become the success it has. It's one of those things. I knew William was 99. I always kept up with his birthday. I was really hoping he would hit 100. So it's at that point where you know any day now that they could pass. So it was always something I knew was going to happen, but naturally you always don't want it to happen. Because he always seems like such a nice man, too. Everybody always talks so good about William Russell. I never hear anybody say anything bad about William Russell. And I think it's amazing that he did so much for Doctor Who, doing, linking narrations for missing stories, filming scenes for missing stories, like with him older, like he's recounting the story, I think they did for one of them. Doing Big Finish. Being so active in it, going to conventions, and then returning for Power of the Doctor, having his small cameo in Power of the Doctor, which broke a Guinness Book World Record. That's impressive. He holds a Guinness Book World Record. That's amazing. And it was so wonderful to see him in Power of the Doctor. I really loved that moment. I know a lot of fans were probably fist punching the air when they saw him. That was pretty cool. And his line is pretty funny. Yeah, it's just, I loved those first two seasons of Doctor Who so much. especially season 2. Season 2 is my second favorite season of the decade. Season 4 is my favorite, but season 2 is right behind it from the 60s. And it's just a strong season in general. So many good stories that season. There's not a lot of bad in that season. The Web Planet's not very impressive, but it has strong ambition, and I'm not a big fan of the chase, even though it has great bookending episodes. But I love Planet of the Giants. I really enjoy the Dalek invasion of Earth. Of Earth. I love the rescue. I love the Romans. I'm trying to remember the rest of the season right off the top of my head. The Space Museum's highly underrated with an amazing first episode as well. And then I really enjoy the Time Meddler, even though he's not in that one. I love the Time Meddler. And then the first season is really strong as well. So those 2 seasons, if they hadn't been as strong as they were, the show would not have endured the way it has. And he is definitely part of that. Just a phenomenal actor, a phenomenal performance. And again, I love that sword fight from the Romans. I don't know. I'm going to have to watch Superman one of these days and see if I can spot him in it. Just it's a hard blow. It's a hard blow. It's always hard when you lose, actors from shows you enjoy, especially someone like William, who's there at the beginning. I think it's amazing, though, that he got to see just how big this show is. Like, sometimes I wish William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, or John Pertwee could see just how big Doctor Who got with the modern series and how far its reach has gotten and how the effects are now. And everything the show has done that they never got to see, I wish they could have seen it. I wish they could have been part of it in Big Finish and seen more of that. And William Russell got to do that. He got to see just how far this show that he helped, take its first walking steps and help teach it how to walk and help teach it how to run. And it's still running all these years later across multiple generations across the decades enjoying. And he got to see that. He got to see the show evolve and still be involved in it in other ways. Again, with missing episode narrations, with Big Finish, with cameoing in different things, being part of the show and seeing what a phenomenon it has become. And the fact that it's a British institution. And to be part of that. And to be part of that legacy. That's an amazing thing. And people who are just now taking their first steps, just being born in the world, eventually they're going to stumble onto this little quirky British sci-fi show and they're going to be enthralled by it. They're going to be mesmerized by it. And a lot of them, just like a lot of you younger Modern Who fans who started with Modern Who and have gone back to Classic Who and fallen in love with Classic Who and met all of these characters for a classic run of stories that were made long before you were even born. And you're going to fall in love with them. You're going to fall in love with these early Doctors. You're going to fall in love with these early companions. You're going to see William Russell as Ian. You're going to fall in love with Ian. So it's not just, fans from the past and fans from the present, but all of the fans from the future who are going to see this portrayal, this performance, and they're going to be mesmerized by this character. And that's a hell of a legacy to leave behind. That is a hell of a legacy. And 99 years of age. What more can you really hope for? 99 years of age. That's impressive. That's impressive. That's a record. To have been born in 1924 and live all the way into 2024. Think of the changes that William Russell has seen in the world. All the things that have happened in his lifetime. That's got to be an amazing journey. That has got to be an amazing journey. So, my hat's off to William Russell. And a very special thank you from a long time Doctor Who fan who got into the first Doctor era very late. Even when I started the channel, I'd only seen like 7 or 8 first Doctor stories. Not many. It's really been down to a lot of you guys, actually, who have been very kind, sending me DVDs, so I could expand my First Doctor knowledge, and getting to see a lot of William's stories for the first time. Most recently, just getting a copy of The Reign of Terror from one of my patrons, Simon, which I have rewatched and reviewed. I did review The Reign of Terror a few days ago after my rewatch of it, and that review is coming later this month. I might actually move it ahead now. Such a good story, and William's putting in a great performance in it. But it's just been nice these past 2 or 3 years really discovering the First Doctor's era and learning how much I love William Hartnell's Doctor and how much I love Ian, Barbara, Susan, and Vicky, and Stephen as companions, and even Dodo. I'm not the biggest Dodo fan. But, and learning just how different this era is from Troughton's era. They're so vastly different. While still having its own strengths. I love the First Doctor era. I love pure historical so much. I'd love to see those come back. And even in stories that don't always land, like the Web Planet, admiring the ambition behind it. It's such a strong era. Such a strong era. And William Russell is definitely one of the many reasons for that. So, William Russell, 1924 to 2024. What a legend. What an absolute legend. I want to know what you think of Ian and William Russell and some of the other things you've probably seen William in. And if you have a favorite story from his era on the show. So comment down below and let me know, and we'll talk about it. And then all of the other things down there as well. Links to the Patreon, the Amazon wish list, and all that fun stuff too. Most importantly, thank you for watching.